And my name is Aisha Ibrahim, and this is Election Brief. We are live on DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125, and all our social media handles at Joy News on TV. My personal handle is at Dedana Aisha. Election headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. The Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, CIMA, and AICPA together as Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental Wellness and Beauty, Chopbox Technologies, a convenience service, and Youth Bridge Foundation. Election headquarters is for an informed electorate. Please do stay for details. National Coordinator of the Coalition of Domestic Observers, Kodeo Albert Kofi Ahin, says challenges that characterize the just-ended limited voter registration exercise must not be allowed to repeat itself, adding the Electoral Commission must learn from its mistakes. Mr. Kofi Ahin was particularly worried about allegations of the registering of minors, which he says, if not addressed properly, will wane off the confidence that the public have in the EC.
We're going to come out with a final report, but for the time being, what we want to say is that, yes, initially there were a few problems, especially the first 2 days, where we had a network issue, and then some machines not working properly. And then sometimes you go to a place, especially where it was designated as inaccessible. You know, we went to some of these places the first 2 days and the EC wasn't there. But from the third day up to the time we finished, I think they listened to advice and improved a lot. For example, the machines that were breaking down, they repaired most of them. And if they couldn't repair, they also placed them. And then the internet also, I'm sure they spoke to the agency that was giving them the internet. So one said there was some success achieved at the end of the bullet. Our worry was the minors that were being presented by the party, and then the guarantor system again. Kodeo has always been talking about this abuse of guarantee, and it reared its ugly head again. Because if you listen to the statistics yesterday at the IPAC, 63% of the people who registered use the guarantor system. So now the appeal is to the EC to collaborate effectively with the NIA. And this was something that Kodeo came out with at the last election when we met at Safari, Aqua Safari. We said the EC was to collaborate with the NIA so that sometimes it might not even be necessary to go and sit down that you are compiling names of people as, compiling the register. You could just go to the database and come out with people who are 18 and above, and then you compile your register.
I've been joined by Director of Electoral Services at the EC, Dr. Sribokaku. Grateful for your time. What's the EC's own assessment of the just-ended exercise?
It has been a success, and we can't take the credit alone. We thank the media, the political parties, and Ghanaians for support the papers.
Kodeo says it's worried about the allegations of the registration of minors. What has become of that? Because the EC some time ago told us that you were doing some verification, so you know how to handle it.
First, I would say that the agents were there to challenge people they seem not to be qualified. So we have a lot of challenges that you are going to face now. And as we are also going to review it and see if we can identify some of them. In addition to that, during the exhibition, the Ghanaians will be good opportunities to be at the polling stations. So people who are not resident there People who are not Ghanaian, people who are underage, we can object to their names and we take them off.
What measures have you put in place to ensure that especially the minors are not allowed to vote in the upcoming election?
If we are not able to identify and remove them from the list, it becomes very difficult. Because sitting at your office, you cannot just say that somebody is underage. So once we do the execution, we are expecting Ghanaians to scrutinize the list and help us to remove names of unqualified voters.
Well, I know that you're doing the registration for special voting today. How is it going so far?
No, today is for transfer, Crosby and Representative Radical. We haven't started it, special voting.
When is that starting?
I don't have the timetable to be here. But today we are doing transfer and Crosby and Representative voters.
Grateful for your time. Dr. Shribo Kwakwe is Director of Electoral Services, and he says they're working round the clock to address some of the challenges that filed the just ended EC limited voter registration to make sure the register is cleaned. Vice President and presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Bawumia, has proposed a private-public partnership to solve Ghana's infrastructural challenges. He explains Ghana would witness a fast pace in development when private entities are engaged to finance road and other infrastructure construction and the mortgage agreements. He was responding to the outcry of clergymen on the deplorable state of road networks across the country at a meeting in Ho during his one-day campaign tour of the Volta region.
The private sector should be involved. Let us go back to a system of broad-based tolls. The tolling system should come back, and I think it's going to come back, so that we can raise the money to pay for the work that the private sector is going to do. In that case, you can put the tolling system in one pot and pay the private sector out of that pot. If you go into toll some of our rural roads, you won't get enough vehicles. But you can put everything in one pot. We pay a broad-based toll, and then we use it to pay for all the roads that are constructed. This is my way of dealing with these roads, and I think we will generate enough revenue. If we continue the way we are doing, it will not be sufficient. Government doesn't have enough money. But if we do it on the basis of tolling, on the basis of paying little by little, look, all the digitalization projects I've done that we have seen through, Ghana Card, Digital Address, Ghana.gov, eHealth, all of it has been financed by the private sector. All of it. It's not government that has financed it. If government was going to finance it, none of it would have been done. We would have still been halfway and wouldn't have finished it. Just like the uncompleted roads and the uncompleted school buildings. None of it would have been done. But because we said to the private sector, you do it and we'll pay you little by little, they've done it. So we should focus on the private sector in the infrastructure side, especially the road side. Let's broaden the tolls, and everybody will pay into a pot and we'll use it to pay this thing. And we will solve this road problem very, very quickly. And I believe that is the way Ghana should go. If you go to Cote d'Ivoire, you are seeing very good roads there, but the private sector is the one involved in making those roads. We should do the same in Ghana.
Well, in the wake of setbacks in the implementation of a national development plan for the country, flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Bawumia, has committed to tailoring his policies towards it if he becomes president. According to him, the inconsistency in governance is largely attributable to his challenge and must be addressed. The National Development Planning Commission has launched Vision 2057, capturing a developmental framework after previously failed plans. But we can listen to flag bearer of the NPP, Bawumia, stating his position on this issue during an engagement with labor unions while advocating the amendment of the Constitution to reduce the powers of the president if elected.
That we need to really look at an amendment of the Constitution our constitution has been one that is served us very well over the last 30 years or so. It has served us very well, and it was built to provide us political stability after the turbulent years that we went through. The focus of the framers was, if you see how it was put together, it's more to provide Ghana with political stability. But I think that we have attained political stability. We need a constitution that will provide us with economic development. And so I want to see a review of the constitution with that view, with a focus on economic development. And also, we need to reduce the power of the presidency. Even though I'm running to be a president, I don't think we need to have that as much power. We need to give some of that back to the people in the context of this that we're doing. The other thing is that we should all, as political parties, try and buy into a national development plan. I think there are various broad contours of, in areas such as education and health, industrialization, environment, and so on, that we can all agree to as political parties, so that we can amend Article 87 of the Constitution, then, and also the NDPC Act, to mandate our manifestos to go by the agreed contours, the broad contours that we will have agreed and have consensus, so that it doesn't matter which government comes in, there will be consistency in the implementation, of education policy, of health policy, and so on. So you don't have to go back, come again, go back and come again. One government will come and it is 3 years senior high school, another will say 4 years senior high school, and all of that. The inconsistency doesn't help our country. And so I would like to see us move in that direction.
Meanwhile, Dr. Isaac Bampo, Executive Secretary of the Civil and Local Governance Staff Association Ghana, says Dr. Bawumia's intention to have the powers of president reduced is in line with their advocacy.
And they want to believe that he's got good intentions. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm a civil servant. We support any government in power. So whoever comes, we'll support him. But these are greater ideas that will move the country forward.
I heard you mentioning specific areas you would want him to concentrate if given the opportunity. Can you echo on those specific issues you are raising?
Yeah, we spoke about pensions. We also spoke about condition of service in the public service, especially this apartheid system of salary administration in the public services. We also spoke about political interference. And we also spoke about what's happening at our district assemblies, where the MC has got its own task force, PM has got his task force, has got his task force. And these are issues we want to address. These are issues we want solutions, both solutions in the manifesto.
One of the issues that's always get the country talking has to do with the power given to the president. You heard Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia saying even though he wants to become president, but he wants the power to be ceded to the people. He doesn't want to arrogate that much power to himself. Tell us, what is your explicit view on this? Yeah, it's a move in the right direction. CLOSAC, as an association, we've spoken about the Presidential Act, which we say it contradicts the Constitution. Well, if that's what it's going to do, then I think it's going to move this country forward. Well, too much power in one person. It must be curtailed. How are you going to ensure that he goes by what he has promised you? Well, we've all heard him, and we've told him that we will hold him to his promises. We've all heard him, and when he comes, say, my friend, this is what you told us, so perform, and that's it.
Let's stay with the NPP because the flag bearer, Dr. Mamadou Bawumia, has declared his readiness to tackle corruption if elected president, addressing labor unions during a stakeholder engagement as part of his Bold Solutions for Future initiative. Dr. Bawumia observed that fighting corruption requires strong political will, which he possesses. He reiterated his commitment to using digital systems to fight the canker.
We are the first country in Africa to do so. So we have to understand that we can be the best. We can really be the best if we put our minds to it. And I want us to come together. And I want Ghana to give me a chance to take this leadership and to take the steer and drive this vehicle. I have a lot of clarity in terms of where I want to go. I want to fight corruption, and corruption really requires a lot of political will to fight it, isn't it? I've been fighting corruption with a lot of systems, digital systems, that we have been using. When we faced the issue of ghost workers, I said, let every worker be identified with their Ghana card, isn't it? So every worker has fingerprints, but the ghosts don't have fingerprints. Immediately we said ghosts disappeared. In the National Service Scheme alone, 44,000 workers disappeared. In SNIT pensioners, 19,000 people disappeared. The two alone saved over 700 million Ghana cedis a year. So systems can help us deal with corruption. That's what we have done in the ports with paperless, DVLA, and so on. But you also need the political will to enforce corruption, but the fight against corruption. I'm prepared for it, and I want you to give me the opportunity and the chance to take Ghana to a different level. I believe that, and this is why we are consulting very broadly, I believe that we can do something new for our country, something much better. And I want to work very closely with you, to consult with you every day. I want to help. I want to help the vulnerable. I want to help the poor. I want to help the disadvantaged. I want to use this opportunity to change Ghana.
Member of Parliament for Nshare, so Stephen Amwa, has assured the NPP will not engage in any form of violence if the party should lose elections in 2024. According to him, the NPP and the NDC must be rewarded for promoting peaceful democracy over the past 30 years. Speaking to the media during his tour of the Ashanti region and the office of the Electoral Commission on the last day of the limited voters registration exercise, he commended the smooth process of the exercise.
Yeah, can I say, Asumbiaba? Oh, yeah, NDC MPP, I did then say, I was a Ghana for boy abaso. I didn't hear. NDC MPP, na ye ama Kamamin Kabi, Ejino Memo. Send this focus at Sebi, Umba near man fata. O mani Yasumbi, MPP Cas Umbaya, but ye qua near Tia Wansi. And into a democracy, a D in Fiebe Diasa. In saying a minty MPP be winning. But impo our man NDC winning a young Kumunipa. Young con, why should we fight? We will never fight. Sabi NDC for Ghana for MPP Ghana for. There may a war GDO Yamisi be winning, a Juma so any see. If it is that Ben and Haji, would you show your cry, may you cry, or my problem? Then Cass and Haji, by my problem, ya won't say, at any be MPP I na yet. About him Zamamono, or one ye say, oh, Kakra, yes, I'll be Shemukina, and the Enocre, as some will be saying, Papa. And but NDC in also can $1 or 30. Any person can. I won't change your Odiasia, but NDC in also $1 or 30. And this room is good, so more opposition, but Bam with woman idea.
And in today's Voters' Voice, we hear your views on John Mahama and Dr. Bawumia's proposed policies.
Peninda Dow GM or so about two Katasha say. Oman Peninda Dow John, Oman Peninda Vice President Alhaji Mahama, Bawumia, on this to Oba, Obotuasi. Sanko for 2 minutes was in the Wakabiasi. Oman Peninda, which is here, Bawumia. Vice Bawumia. Who the say I do it be between 2 to Waka BB? Who can about to my Yeduma? No one put the son of Abanoko. na san ko futu muka sa asem ya ai sai mu bu ante se Ghana ya mu frobi na mu di ho agoro keke wo wutu se si a wonim ne ekọ no mbom na chese wo den wo ma ho so nom na oba no so ohun se den osumesi ba obeyesi na se se uja na okasa asem dia yan dia sometimes media minimum ya adwen mu benu ni amene obi an ya adwen jo mama wonso aba ha baba be dibida na okọ mo obeye ya na onso ba ya oye na umpo su mpo dia wo ti so nti wo ye bibi ni yanko afedu uja na say ran na wo be ye bibi aye bibi ni yanko
kasa fi ada braka mati se Bawumia si oba betu katasi she ni proye asi ena mama nso si onu so ye to abama na oba onu so ba betu katasi she ni proye asi na Bawumia de betuma kase onu otisu dada aka obibiya aka to me aka 8 months ana 9 months aka onye action bia na onye bibi emfa ho ansana yatima ho se ebia oba obetma to ase ana ontumi to ase because who was dada we are vice president who was dada utumi ye bibi fa ho abetu ase ma we okay wajina aka se obetma ye den ato ase oh 9 months aka ye wa ye bibi afa ho because se bola obi onu so bola nka hanom onu odisika more than enya sika kitwa oda ko che ni fie muntumi ka ho hwe masada musu Bawumia ni former president Akufo-Addo much charge no sika o wi ina mu disika na man back o hwan so a Ghana so enya sika e o schools bebre omuti biase nkran bebre wadua nkran bebre so e krase aska no betumi asi school da be 20 ana 30 school oh Ghana ha aska no amuda che no back so on fa ne sika nko wa fa ne ho edi nti wa otisui krono katashe ne krono e koso si untumu ya ho hwi va untumu yesi president untumu ya ho hwi e be dey ato abama ho mimbra mama so mama no obi anu se wono wa ebida fa mi to me no obetma because I feel say ono wa ebida wa ba so da nti obetma to ase
corruption dey say be free Ghana dey me menjin dey say corruption be free Ghana I just say revolution be happen answer na corruption e free Ghana omumienu ni nyina omu party abedi so pain ma still a corruption e wo Ghana ha say ti me ma dwen a me che ni say I say enyo obi fufura oni party mienu ni nyina mu say military who or the baba take over Ghana eno de me metuma gia to mu say ti say a esi wo Burkina no eni Niger no say de corruption betumi free Ghana enye say de a omumienu nyina menjin dis o metumi a fight corruption.
And you just heard from the electorate on what will inform their vote come December 7th. That's your election brief on your election headquarters. And you can log on to myjournline.com for more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. Over there, you will see stories like Ato Forcing request live telecast of proceedings in the ambulance case. There's more if you go there. Minority sabotage in Ghana's economic growth by continuously blocking tax waivers. That's from the majority leader. And Kwesi Pratt's emotional reaction to Godfrey Dame's leaked tape. You would also see Communications Minister justifying why company awarded 5G contracts was just a week old before approval, and over $30 billion worth of gold smuggled from Africa in 2022. There is more on myjournline.com. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.